Welcome to Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation that includes respect for opinions, facts, and diversity. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeice Wheeler Attorneys and River Ridge Hardware.
Welcome to Spokane Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice, and tonight, starting out with Steve and Megan on StartUp Spokane and entrepreneurial adventures in real estate development in Spokane. Next up on SheSays, Stephanie Regalado will have the opportunity to sit down with Natalie Wood Designs, a luxury brand empowering women. Then, join me on Business Talks with Well Dressed Walrus, talking about the human side of marketing, Part 2.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Welcome to StartUp Spokane on Spokane Talks Media. I'm your host, Steve Trabun, and joining me today is Jordan Tampien. Jordan's the co-founder of 4 Degrees Real Estate. And Jordan, you're no stranger to our entrepreneurial ecosystem. You've been engaged with us, and you and I have worked closely together for, I think over a decade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell our listeners a little bit about 4 Degrees.
Yeah, so 4 Degrees is a brainchild I had with my brother Joel, who helped me start it. And the concept was, how do we create a one-stop shop for real estate? And I started in government, did that, and we had so many silos. So when we were coming up with a name, we basically have 4 companies. We have a brokerage, a management company, investment company, and a foundation. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to be a degree of separation apart, and so the name 4 Degrees stuck, and we got it.
And talk a little bit about the model. Use some of the examples of your current projects if you need, but It's pretty unique compared to what I see with other developers.
Yeah, and one of our models played out really well. We helped an investor buy about $50 million worth of real estate, and we just helped him buy a condo. And then we're also helping him plan for what he should do, analyzing his portfolio, and then we also helped him connect and giving back to the community. Mm-hmm. That's the idea, is you don't have to leave to do what you need to do through real estate and through the community. Yeah. And so what we're looking for is the foundation is actually the biggest part. It's just you can't start a foundation without any money. Right. So you had to create a business that generated it. And so what we love to do is catalyze community. So all of our development projects are in fringe areas purposefully. Mm-hmm. So we target areas that we know with the right injection of capital and the right kind of narrative around it, we can build up. So our office on First Avenue, we did that. First day, had 24 people sleeping in the parking lot. Well, instead of going out and watering and throwing stuff at, hey, how can we help you? Obviously, you've been sleeping here for a while. Is there a place we can help connect you with resources? Because Spokane has a ton of them. Right. And then now we've been there almost a year. Nobody is.
Yeah, and so it's transformational, right?
Exactly.
So you're transforming areas of town. Yep. You're engaging community. Yep. You build these, or you rehab these buildings, right? Yep. So you're rehabbing buildings and you're leasing out office space and creating event space and things like that.
Yeah, and I think every investor would cringe when I say this, but we really try to look for a social impact. Now, it's icing on the cake, so we never base a decision off that, but if it doesn't have that, we're more likely to not do the project and pass it to someone else than to do it. And so it's kind of played itself out. One of the most excited projects I have is a partnership with Matt Goodwin, who I own restaurants with. Mm-hmm. We're opening a brewery. I mean, everybody dreams of it, but we finally, after 3 or 4 years of planning, found the right building, the old Watts Automotive building on West First, the newest place to be, the west end of Spokane, and it's going to be an amazing space. We'll brew beer. We have an amazing restaurant that's moving in, our head brewer's beers, and it's just, and what we found was you have to have a catalyst of a business. Exactly. And the research we did across all markets is breweries bring people in.
That's right.
And they create community in a way that no other business can. So we start with a hub, and then we start purchasing every building around it and start adding
awesome
complementary features.
Stay with us after the break. We'll come back and talk more with Jordan Tampien, 4 Degrees.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeice Wheeler Attorneys. McNeice Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeice Wheeler, Attorneys.
Welcome back. Having a great conversation with Jordan Tampien of 4 Degrees Real Estate. Jordan, as we were talking before break, community is a really big part of this. Say more about how your strategy ties into community and connecting community.
Yeah, so I read a quote by Barbara Corcoran, major real estate mogul. She said, everybody wants what everybody wants and nobody wants what nobody wants. And one of our goals is to create a community that everyone wants to be a part of. We already have all of the assets. Now we just need some of that private enterprise injection into making it happen. And not just helping homeless, but also creating places to be downtown, hubs to go to. I think for so long we didn't have a major hub.
Yeah, and your vision for your brewery on First Avenue is greater than just a brewery in a building. You've shared with me there's this kind of all this wraparound activity. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right next door, the reason we put it there was the city's doing a plaza. And so we're going to activate that plaza with music, food trucks, tented beer festivals, and all the things that would drive more and more people to one common place. So we're not the Valley, North Side, South Hill. It's Spokane.
Right.
And it's one area where we can congregate and all kind of have a commonality. No matter what stage of life you're in.
I mean, what a great time to be in real estate development, right? I mean, talk about what it looks like from your vantage point.
It's amazing. I mean, they tightened up a lot of the lending standards, but it also created a more solid market. And you're seeing Spokane prices increase. You're seeing some a little unrealistic, but you're starting to get affordability and location, and people want to be here.
Yeah, and you're not building or rehabbing buildings just for the sake of it. You're doing it intentionally.
Yep.
And I know that you've got a couple of projects, one that is going to launch in the fall with a brewery, but you have one that's established.
Yep. So we have the Backyard Public House on just outside Kendall Yards on Broadway.
Right.
Took an old tavern, rehabbed it, and now it's this cool rustic look and good food, good pretzels actually, great beer. And so that was one of them. And our new office on 2nd Avenue is going to be a fun project to kind of document and follow along with.
Yep. And I think what's really unique is, these are projects. You're not just the building, right? The real estate part.
Yeah.
You actually are running the business, right? The brewery, the restaurant at the backyard, these are your businesses. So you're not out trying to find a restaurant to.
Yeah, it's hard for me to ever advise somebody if I've never tried it myself. So I like to cut my own teeth, and then I can say, hey, this is what I learned, and this is why I think it works or doesn't work. And one thing I've found a passion for is taking old buildings.
Yeah. Jordan, thanks for all you're doing in Spokane, in our region. Thanks for joining us on StartUp Spokane on Spokane Talks Media.
Next up, Stephanie Regalado, Natalie Wood, jewelry design and the empowerment of women.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Hello, welcome to SheSays. I'm Stephanie Regalado with my guest, Natalie Wood of Natalie Wood Designs. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. So about 1.5 years ago, you moved your business, Natalie Wood Designs, which is an affordable luxury jewelry line, from Texas to Spokane.
Yes, so we are now part of the Spokane culture. We're trying to get ingrained in the community. We own a national jewelry brand that's all about designing jewelry women feel beautiful wearing while encouraging and inspiring them to just live beautifully.
I was going to ask you exactly what is your niche? What makes you different in a sea of masses of jewelry?
All of our jewelry is unique. It all begins with a hand sketch by myself, and then is artisan crafted. So I grew up as an artist, and I have a love for fashion. So just really ingraining, our mission of really inspiring women along with unique designs is what makes us unique.
Yeah, the fun part of your story is you didn't set out to be a jewelry designer.
No.
You set out to be a doctor.
I did.
And what happened to that trajectory?
I was just blown away by what God had planned for my life. I was wanting to be a doctor. That was my goal, my dream. Worked hard for it throughout college, applied to medical school, and just realized at the time that I could remember what someone would wear to the Oscars 5 years ago. To the exact T, what they were wearing.
Yeah.
And after I would take a test, I would forget what a disease was. So I thought, you know what, maybe I really need to reshift my focus and really kind of hone in on what my true love is, which is fashion and art.
I love that you were able to have such clarity within yourself to detect that.
It wasn't easy, but you know what? A door closed and I felt like so many windows opened, and I just felt like, going down this fashion path was just the right plan for my life.
One thing I appreciate so much about your story, moving to Spokane, a lot of national brands or global brands don't necessarily embed themselves holistically into our community, but that's a mission and a goal of yours.
Absolutely. My husband was born and raised here in Spokane. I don't know how he got a Southerner out of Texas, but he did. Yeah. I love the community. We call Spokane home now, so it's only right for us to really want to be part of the community. That's all. Our mission is all about encouraging women and inspiring them. So that's what we want to do here as well.
Yeah. Well, and now you're growing roots here too, because you have a baby girl.
I do. Yes, we have a little 1-year-old named Parker, and so she's an amazing addition to our family and our team.
I can only imagine. And she's walking now, you said.
Walking into everything, into the jewelry. I have to be very careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break and hear a note from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back for more.
All
so
right.
We'll be right back in a moment.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeice Wheeler Attorneys. McNeice Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeice Wheeler Attorneys.
Welcome back to SheSays. Stephanie Regalado, Natalie Wood of Natalie Wood Designs. How did you are a national company, how did you first launch nationally, and how did you gain that exposure?
Well, we launched online. We have a website, nataliewoodddesigns.com, but we also really were focused on, how can we really quickly gain that national exposure and that brand credibility.
Right.
So I started scouring contests throughout, the internet, department stores that I knew of that had previous contests in the past, and we were very lucky to have won the Belk Southern Designer Showcase, which prompted us to be sold in several, a lot of the flagship stores of Belk in the Southeast. And that just really thrust our company into the spotlight and gave us that credibility of being a national player.
Oh, that's so exciting. What did that feel like at that moment when you learned you won?
It was pretty awesome. Very just really nice to have that validation of you're putting something out there that a department store is really resonating with, and they love it enough to put it in their stores, which is
and it's nice
neat.
to balance out those challenges that come along with launching a new company or being an entrepreneur at all. So you don't want to give anything too much weight, because if you give the highs so much weight, the lows are going to really drag you.
You have to be even keel.
Yes.
Something my husband taught me. Just
That's good. And you and your husband do this business together.
We do, yes. So he's more, the business side, although he can now style someone from head to toe in jewelry. But he knows so much about it. And then I do all the creative, design everything by sketch.
Yeah. So part of your mission includes, you said you are I just lost it. Your spirituality comes into play in your business.
We are a faith-based company.
That's it.
Yes.
Faith-based company.
So we founded our company, with that foundation of faith. It's really important to both of us, our morals, our values, and we really just want to inspire and encourage women to, when they put on a piece of our jewelry, that they just feel beautiful, but they're able to just live beautifully. And a lot of our pieces have that faith-based, faith influence. We have crosses on our designs. Not everything. We have a wider range, but a lot of our best sellers are what our customers are resonating with.
I love it. Thank you so much, and welcome to
Thank
Spokane.
you so much.
Thanks for tuning into She Says. We'll see you next time.
Join myself and Curt Stockwell of Well Dressed Walrus on Business Talks for the Human Side of Marketing, Part 2.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice, and we're here in the studio with Curt Stockwell, Well Dressed Walrus. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the human side of marketing, which is your podcast that
That's right.
individuals can find and check out more specificity from what we're even talking about today. Or for a longer version of our show today, you can go to SpokaneTalksMedia.com to see the half-hour version of this show. One of the main points that we've been talking about in our continuing episodes with you is the idea and the complexities of marketing and the voice of an individual's brand.
Right.
What is the first thing that can be done for a brand or a company to clarify their message?
Right. Well, so whenever we work with a business or organization that wants to really stand out in the marketplace, we really kind of first diagnose the fact that it's never been easier before to do marketing. Right. We've got computers in our pockets, then we can send out marketing messages to thousands and thousands of people with just a click of a button.
Everybody has a voice.
Everybody has a voice, but because everybody has a voice, or because everybody can do marketing easily, it's become so incredibly noisy. So to rise above the noise, we help businesses clarify their message so their customers will listen and understand, and ultimately they'll be able to sell more products or their services. When people ask me, like, what's step one? You know, is it my website? Is it an email campaign? Is it print media? Or print ads? Or is it
is it the billboard? Is it the content on the website?
What is it? What's the easiest place to start? I always tell them the very first thing that you should consider, the easiest place to start, literally something that we can sit down for a couple hours and you can walk away with something you can use immediately. You don't have to wait a couple months for a website to be built, is literally the answer to what do you do? Which,
when you say that, I think one would think, well, that's too obvious.
Right.
It's not too obvious, though, because it's the elevator speech.
It's the elevator speech. It's the one-liner. It's the answer to when people ask you, what do you do? And if you can't clearly explain what do you do, or your team or your staff can't clearly explain what do you do, then you have a problem. Or if you try to explain too many things and you're not known for solving, you're known for solving, or you think you're known for solving multiple things, but I guarantee you're probably not known for solving anything well.
Right.
You need to focus on the problem that you solve and how you do it well. And the one-liner can really do that, or the answer to what do you do. So we actually sit down with businesses and organizations and craft literally the answer to that question.
Which is a very systematic approach to
Right.
creating that one-liner.
Right.
So let's take a short break and come right back, because let's talk about the steps that Well Dressed Walrus employs to come up with that very important first step of the one-liner and what your business does. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice. We're here in the studio with Curt Stockwell. Right before the break, we were just going to get into the 3 steps that clarifies the message in terms of creating a one-liner. What are those steps?
Right. So these 3 steps are really critical, because ultimately what you want to do is your one-liner, or the answer to the question of what do you do, needs to be simple, relevant, and repeatable.
Right.
Okay. So step 1, you start by stating the problem that you solve.
the problem that your customers face.
From their viewpoint, which I think is critical.
From your customer's viewpoint, exactly, from your customer's viewpoint. This might take some homework and asking maybe your customers, what do you feel like ultimately is the problem that we solve? And then step 2 is you talk about the solution to the problem that you just stated. And finally, you ramp up the success of how your customer will feel after that problem's solved. So for Well Dressed Walrus, we always, if somebody asks me, what do you do? We reply with, you know how most businesses struggle to talk about what they do? We use a communication framework that helps them clarify their message. And when you clarify your message, customers engage more, word starts to spread about your company, and your business grows.
Well, and I know from my own experience, you have created a systematic approach to not only with Well Dressed Walrus yourself, but with your customers. The name in and of itself, Well Dressed Walrus, begs the question, what do they do?
Exactly.
And so I think as you're just describing, your one-liner.
Right. That's why it's so critical. Yeah, it's
Right.
so critical because again, we talked about before the break, it's a noisy marketplace. And you have to stand above that noise. And to do that, people need to understand that you understand their problem and you have a solution for it.
Well, and I think that psychology is so critical. Again, I think folks don't put a lot of thought to it, but understanding that somebody doesn't care what you think as the vendor or the business. Right. They care what they think and what
problem
their
are you solving
is.
for me?
Yeah.
And this is a really fast description to a much longer conversation. So I hope you will go listen to the longer conversation that we did on the website.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Curt. And you can go to SpokaneTalksMedia.com, check out half-hour version of this, as well as your podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, which is Curt Stockwell, Well Dressed Walrus, and the human side of marketing. And I appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
Let's keep doing these shows. I think we're going to do a multi-series and keep on going. So Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Cindy Hval is a freelance columnist and correspondent for the Spokesman Review and author of War Bonds, Love Stories from the Greatest Generation. The view from her porch is usually sunny.
Recently, New Orleans Saints fans lost their collective minds after a missed call in the NFC Championship game against the LA Rams. The ire heaped on the official who blew the call was heated. And like many NFL fans, I said, even I could call the game better. And then I quickly jotted down a list of my qualifications. After all, I'm uniquely qualified. As the mother of 4 sons, I've had 29 years of experience in calling timeouts. I've been known to randomly shout, "Offsides!" at jaywalkers in downtown Spokane. I have a whistle. I also stand around frequently with my hands on my hips, looking annoyed. Fights on the field? Listen, I've broken up fights in the living room, fights in the backyard, fights in the back seat of a minivan. My experience speaks for itself, and my eloquent hand signals and patented mom glares frighten even guys who aren't related to me. Referees often huddle together in the middle of the field and chat. I like huddling and chatting. I'm not afraid to take an unpopular stand either. Just ask my boys about the video games only on the weekends rule. Plus, I'm a recovering football mom. Our son Alex played for the Mount Spokane Wildcats for 3 years. Sadly, football season is drawing to a close, and it looks like my shot at being an NFL ref has passed. But there's always Major League Soccer season. I was a soccer mom a lot longer than I was a football mom. Yellow cards, red cards, physically fit men in shorts. I'm warming up my whistle already. And that's the athletic view from my front porch.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Spokane Talks. Join us next week for more news, views, and conversation.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to Spokane Talks. We have had the opportunity to be out here on the Z Nation set. But also we're excited at Spokane Talks. We have several shows, different genres, from real estate radio, Spokane Talks Live, Meet the Candidates, The Locker Room. We have several shows coming to you that can be found on all social media platforms, as well as coming up on Fox 28. Thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity being here at Z Nation Set. Thank you.
Spokane Talks is about you. Give us your feedback and comments at info@SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeice Wheeler Attorneys and River Ridge Hardware. We'll be back next week with additional news, views, and conversations. Please join us. So long for now.